Hello, everybody, and welcome to our live Q&A. I am so excited to talk to you all with this incredible panel that I've got. Before I start this, though, you know I can't start without thanking all of you for everything that you do for us every day out there. You are the reason that we're here, and we're so thankful for all that you do, whether you're an AMN traveler now, have been in the past, or are looking to be one in the future. We're just very, very thankful for you. So can't start without that. The other thing, before I get to my guests and have them introduce themselves, would love to know where you're joining us from. So let me know in the chat, where are you joining us from? I'll definitely call those out. And don't forget, this is a live Q&A, so ask us your questions. Today, we're going to be talking all about the credentialing process, how you set yourself up for success, and how what you do during the credentialing process will really help you as you continue your travel journey. Before we get to that, I would love to introduce our panel. Victoria, you're at the top of my screen, so I'll have you start first. Tell us a little bit about yourself. And Victoria's on mute. There she goes.
There we go. I'm off mute. Yes, I've been a recruiter here at AMN for 10 years in multiple different departments and seeing all of the innovation and things that we've done to grow. But I'm here because of the people. I just love our team and our leadership. So just wanted to share about the process with all you guys.
I love it. Thank you, Victoria. Dan, you're next up. Tell me a little bit about yourself.
So I've been with AMN. Today is actually my 5-year anniversary with AMN Healthcare, and I work in our travel nursing division. I've been a recruiting manager for the last 5 years, and I just partner with those clinicians that are maybe looking to do travel contracts for 13 weeks, and I live here in Columbus, Ohio. I've got 2 kids that just keep me busy, and absolutely love what we do here at AMN and the impact that we make.
I love it. Dan is definitely a busy guy. It looks like we have a guest joining us from Mexico. So hello, hello. Let us know where in Mexico. That sounds awesome. And then last but not least, I've got Patrick. Tell me a little bit about yourself, Patrick.
Hi, I'm with the credentialing team. I've been with AMN a little over a couple of years. I, on a daily basis, work with our travelers to make sure they get started on time, and constantly working to innovate and streamline the process to make it as easy as possible for y'all.
I love it. Thank you, Patrick. And you win for best background. I love that space. I have to shout it out. Don't forget, everybody, let us know what your questions are. We'll ask them as we go through. But first topic we want to talk about is when you're on an assignment, and we've talked a lot for this panel and for everybody listening, we've talked a lot about the recruiter relationship and why that's so important as you're really looking for that next travel assignment or maybe first travel assignment. But what we haven't talked about yet, and what we're going to spend some time on here, is what happens once you book your assignment, because your recruiter relationship changes a little bit. Dan, why don't you talk to us a little bit about that? What changes? What stays the same?
Sure. When you're looking for recruiters to partner with, they're going to be in contact with you pretty frequently. So during the credentialing process, you're probably going to be speaking with your recruiter, once or twice a week. But we also have a credentialing team that's going to, provide you with everything you need to get ready for that assignment. But that partnership with your recruiter, any anxiety that you have, or if there's, any questions you have, or any things you're wondering about, that recruiting partner is going to be kind of the expert for you and just kind of advise you what other nurses have done, or, just kind of help you resolve, maybe anything that you haven't already thought of to help you get ready for that contract.
Yeah, so the relationship part stays the same. We're still here for you, still here to talk through. What changes though in this process, Victoria? Because it does switch a little bit, right? It does feel a little bit different.
Yeah, it does. And what I like travelers to know is during the process where we're getting the job, your recruiter is calling you every day. It's very close, it's very lots of touch points and everything like that. But then once you switch into the credentialing zone, it's really like you are booked. The facility knows you're coming and you have a list of things to do. And you can really start by showing who you are, like how reliable and how you're going to be when you get to the facility, when you get into that credentialing process. So you'll have a list. It might be long, especially if it's your first time. It can be a little bit, intense. You're like, okay, this is a list. Just do the things that you know how to do, but keep a separate list of the questions that you have. And once you make it to the end of the list, you'll have the things you did and the things that you have questions on, and get those over to your credentialing analyst. And they're there to help everyone. They want to get on-time starts. We want to create really strong relationships with the facility, and that's the way to do it, is by putting your best foot forward once you're booked.
I love it. That's such a good point, Victoria. And Patrick, I saw you maybe not vigorously nodding, but nodding a bit. What would you add to what Victoria said from the credentialing side?
Yeah, absolutely. So from signing your contract to getting on the floor, I like to think of this as the bridge to get there. As Victoria said, if you're a new traveler, the list might be longer. That becomes shorter the more you stay with AMN. It more becomes yearly requirements, and that list becomes smaller and smaller. As I said, we're always trying to innovate and streamline our process. We now have 24/7 availability if you ever need any assistance, which is huge. And we even have the ability to self-credential in AMN Passport. In there, you can see your credentialing checklist and see many of the items that are needed to either submit or just have our direct contact to be able to get in touch with us 24/7 and to be able to answer your questions. We're trying to provide as many options as possible to y'all, so this way we can tailor each experience to whatever you need it to be.
Right. And really be there 24/7. So, with our global workforce model, being able to have somebody that can speak to you if you really need someone, but also if you're really self-sufficient and you're used to utilizing something like an app, AMN Passport, of course, you can work through those documents as you need to. I would say that your credentialing experience is probably as good as maybe you are prepared to take on that list. Would you kind of agree? Yeah, Patrick? Yeah, Patrick agrees. I think, oh, go ahead, Victoria. Yeah, jump on in there.
Yeah, you reminded me of a recent traveler, so I wanted to share that experience. Like,
I love it.
this traveler has been with a different company before, so he kind of knew the process, but he came to AMN. We had the jobs that he was looking for, and he was credentialed in 4 days, and he didn't ask me any questions. It was very much like, it was actually just so surprising because I got to see all of our new innovations. He uploaded everything into Passport. It had just like spots for him. It was very clear, and it was just such a win. And so I agree with that point. Now seeing that, it's like, if you're ready to take ownership of the process, and you use the tools that are available, the process, you don't really have to talk to anyone. And in a world where everyone's trying to ask something of you all the time, it's nice to just be able to have like a moment to just go through the checklist, and it really does allow you to be self-sufficient.
Yeah. And if you haven't downloaded AMN Passport already, you absolutely should, because the credentialing wallet is one piece of it, but there's so much more. You can search for jobs. You can actually check out our community section and see what our other travelers are doing. You can watch these lives back again as much as you want to. So definitely download it if you haven't. I'm sure we'll pop the link in our chat here in our comment section. Dan, I'm going to come back to you, because what does shift, and Victoria talked about it a little bit, during the job search process, that's where the recruiter clinician relationship is really consistent as far as us talking all the time. And it's not that we just say, all right, you're booked, and we move on, but it really is this kind of handoff to the next group of people that are going to work with you. But we're still there, right? Talk to me a little bit more about that.
Sure. So, I mean, nurses are busy people. They're working 3 12-hour shifts every week, sometimes 4 days a week. And they have a lot going on, especially during that credentialing process. So, on my end, I almost take like the passenger side of that, as we're driving you to that contract and letting you take over the driver role. Some nurses, they don't need very much help at all. They've been through this a couple times. And so, when we're checking in, it's just making sure you feel confident about where you're headed to, getting your housing set up. But if it's your first time traveling, you're going to have a lot more questions. And so I kind of put it in the nurse's court. Like, how much support do you need? What do you know about traveling? And what do you know about this part of the process? And it really is customized based on your unique experiences, how much experience you have with traveling, and how much support you feel like you need. If you're an experienced traveler coming back to AMN, you already know everything about credentialing. And honestly, the nurses are the expert even more so than I would be from the recruiting standpoint. So it's just being that liaison for you and helping advocate for you if you're waiting on questions to be answered, and just making sure you're feeling good and ready for your upcoming contract.
Definitely. Thanks for that, Dan. And something that you said with clinicians that are maybe coming back to AMN, Patrick, this might look different for them. So tell us a little bit about how our credentialing team has changed, how our model is really changing to better support our candidates and clinicians that are out there getting their next assignment.
Yeah, absolutely. When I came on, we were available 9 through 5, Monday through Friday, and pretty much that was the only availability we had to be able to assist. The 24/7 model that we do now have globally really emphasizes the ability to be able to get in contact with someone in real time and get your questions resolved, especially for a new clinician that has been here before. You'll see there's a lot more options for you to be able to get the credentialing process done faster, by yourself if needed on the passport. There's just so many more options in order to be able to get credentialed. As Dan said, we can be a hand to hold to help you get through that process and kind of be a GPS, or we could just simply be there to answer some quick questions, or to Victoria's point, sometimes not be there at all because you've done this before. And the more we try to innovate, the easier it becomes for you.
Definitely. Dan, something that you said yesterday that I think would be really helpful today is for our clinicians or candidates who have been travelers in the past, or like to Victoria's point, that were travelers elsewhere and come to us, there seems to be this kind of like grouping of things that they need to have. What are some items that you would recommend our travelers just kind of always have handy that every facility is going to ask for? And you don't have to give us the full list, but maybe some examples would be helpful for our group here.
Yeah, so some of the things that I've seen from the nurses I partner with is if they already have a zip file with like their immunization records or their titers, TB skin tests, making sure your resume is up to date. And one of the great things that we have available as an asset to us now is with the AMN Passport app. Even if you're not on assignment, you can have everything put into the app, and when you're ready to come back to AMN, it's already ready to go. But if you're looking into other forms of employment, now everything that you need for your career is all in one centralized location, and you're not struggling to maybe find that in your emails or reach out to past employers to try to find it. You're already organized and ready to move forward. And I think that's going to be a huge key coming into the new market,
Yeah.
is just being organized so that as soon as it's needed, you have it ready to go.
Right. Patrick, would love to hear from you if there's anything additional, but something we talked about a little bit in our last live is that if you are a newer traveler, maybe you're a seasoned traveler who just started during COVID, it might feel like there's more being asked of you on the credentialing front. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, during COVID, some of the requirements were definitely lessened just because of the major need to get people on the floor. And as we've transitioned out of that period, things have kind of evened back out. Where I would say it's 100% of the requirements that are required are now required again. To Dan's point, the immunizations are the biggest ones. Those are definitely things you're going to want to make sure you have handy. Identification. Those are really the two big ones. Everything beyond that is something that we can order for you if you don't have it. But the immunizations is really, really the big one.
And that's such a great point, because not every travel company out there will do that for you. But we also support our clinicians in making sure that if they don't have it, we can schedule it for them. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's another beautiful part of the passport. If you have it, you can enter it in there. Our contact information is directly available. There's a spot for you to put the information, your address and all of that, for us to be able to get that ordered for you. And to Dan's point, anything that you do put in there stays housed in there. So whether it's another assignment for us or for another travel company, you have that one-stop shop to have your documents, to see your credentialing checklist, future job postings, the community of AMN and other travelers. So there really are just so many options, not only just for credentialing in the passport, but in addition, it's a beautiful
So many other things. Yeah.
credentialing as best as possible.
Right. And I think that speaks to hopefully what you're all getting is that we have a very clinician-centric model when it comes to Passport. And we want to think of it in a way that not only supports your assignments, future, current, previous with AMN, but really as you look to support in a lot of different areas and different places. So it really is an app that's built by our clinicians for our clinicians. And that's the greatest part about it. We did get get a question in the chat on rejecting visa screen. This is not the group to answer it in Violetta, but we can probably get an answer for you. This group really focuses on internal travel. Our other division, international, does help with some of those things. So can't help you there, but we'll definitely try to find the answer. All right, getting back to us. So we've talked a little bit about how Passport can help our clinicians in the credentialing process. We've talked about that handoff when it comes to credentialing. Patrick, I'd love to get into, maybe I'm having some issues getting in touch with somebody, or I'm not really sure where to go with my next steps as I'm going through credentialing. What recommendations do you have for our candidates to help them work through the process, especially as it pertains to working with us?
Yeah, not to keep promoting the Passport, but that is really going to be your true source. All of your contact information for me, your recruiter are always going to be in there. That would be your first bet, is to try to give us a call or send us a text or email. If you're still not hearing back within a short period of time, definitely reach out to the recruiter. We're constantly making sure we're staying partnered with our recruitment team. We work collectively together to make sure we have the best possible experience for you. So if you're not getting in touch with me, there's several other credentialing analysts as part of your team that can help, and the recruiter is always going to be there.
Right. And that's where I'll maybe come back to Dan and Victoria. That's where we, as the recruiter, really help with transitioning and getting people connected. We are a team here. And I think that is pretty unique to AMN, that you have a team of people who are really supporting you as you, to use Patrick's analogy, cross that bridge and getting to your assignment. Victoria, I saw you come off mute, so go for it, girl.
Yeah, I just wanted to share a little bit about like how I picture the recruiting role after the traveler is booked. It's like a trampoline, and I might not know the answer, but I can like bounce you into the, department that does have that answer. So if it's a contract question, all of the departments are specialized at AMN, and they really know their stuff, whether it's facility specific or department specific. So your recruiter may not know the answer, but we should always be a person who you feel like you can lean on, who you can really talk to if you're like, oh, it's been a day, I haven't heard from this department or that department, and we can help bounce you like into that perfect department that can answer the question. And we are talking about technology a lot, but it's really, I think, because the technology, we realize, is what helps us give our travelers an advantage, and for all of the processes to work really smoothly. So your recruiter can help loop you into a team that is ready to respond to your answer, your question within 10 minutes or even shorter. Sometimes it moves really quickly, and we want to make sure that we get the answers and get your answers to you really quickly.
Right. And I think, Victoria, what you're saying, what Patrick is saying, and Dan, I'd love to come to you for this, is that the communication component is really important. And we want to know what's going on, right? We know our nurses are busy, as Patrick said. We know that you're working and you're enjoying your time off where you need to. You probably have family that you spend time with or friends. But the communication is really important. Talk to me more about that, Dan.
Sure. Once you book that assignment, the facility's relying on you. They're going to start getting things ready for your arrival. They're going to start putting you on a schedule. And our credentialing team is going to start right away, getting everything ready, helping you meet all the credentialing requirements. And it's super important during that time, we know you're working full time. We know you have a family. But if you're not able to get a response in right away, or you're not able to work on something right away that needs to come up, just check your messages once a day and just try to make that a habit. Hey, I'm working today, but I will have that to you by Friday. And just keep us informed. The hospitals are really counting on your help at that point. They're waiting for you to arrive. And if we do kind of have that window there where you're just not able to get everything done right away, partner with your recruiters. We do have options to help you, get things rescheduled, or, at least provide the facility with the update so that, we can make sure we're all on the same page for you. And I think that communication, just being in the habit of checking your messages daily and just letting them know when you're going to be able to get those things done. That should be more than sufficient to help you, get ready for your assignment.
Definitely. Yeah. So just maintaining that open communication. And Patrick, we talked about this a little bit yesterday, but this is really the facility's kind of first view at the clinician that they're getting. And intentionally or not, the way that we get through credentialing is really, it really speaks to the facility. But tell me a little bit more, because I know we talked about this yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. It just gives them a beginning insight because they haven't met you yet. They haven't worked with you yet. So their only gauge of what your work ethic might be is how quick you're getting through this process. There's very specific deadlines with a lot of facilities, and they really, really push for us to be able to get you guys cleared as fast as possible. So it just gives them a good idea of what to maybe expect. And especially if that is not the person you are, life does happen. To Dan's point, the communication piece is so important. So we can then communicate that to the facility, because we also don't want them to get the wrong idea of our clinicians who have great work ethic. I cannot talk. Work ethic. So it just becomes really important that when life does happen and things come up, just communicate that to us. We understand everything. We all go through things. We only know what you tell us. So just keep that communication line open. So this way we can best help you as possible and make sure the facility is also aware.
Right. And Patrick, that's so good. We only know what you tell us. So just letting us know if things are happening. We know we work with people. You all are people. And we know that things happen in life, but the more that we're aware of what different situations might be, different holdups, if there's, there are items in your life that you've told your recruiter you've got to work through first. We want to know that stuff so that we can set the appropriate expectations as we move on to this next part of the process, which is accepting that job, working through credentialing, and then actually getting on assignment. Victorya, I'm going to come back to you because you talked a little bit about how you set your clinicians up for being the favorite in credentialing, but tell me a little bit more about that.
I know. And I know credentialing helps everybody, but the way that I picture it is like when this is what I tell my travelers. I'm like, okay, next we're going into the credentialing process, and they might be working with 20 to 50 travelers at a time, getting them credentials. But when your name pops in their email address, I want them to think, ooh, yay, that person gets their stuff done. That person is consistently someone that shows up, that does what they say that they're going to do. And so I think it's just important, the recruiter kind of personality is very I don't know, we reach out a lot and we like that kind of thing. But with the credentialing analyst, I don't know if you if every credentialing analyst is like this, but it's very much list oriented. Let's get these checkbox, checked. And I think that's a strength with nursing too. I mean, you guys all did nursing school, you were able to get through so much and, so many different lists and stuff. So I think that you really just kind of put it all together, and it's only, I don't know, it can be challenging, but it's as hard as you make it. If you see it as a mountain, it'll feel like a mountain. But if you see it and you see all of the support that you have and the technology that's available, it can be a 3 or 4 day process. And so, yeah, I do like to think of it how do we set ourselves apart and make them, see that we're worth their time to respond to right away, because we're all working together, and we all want to put our best foot forward and make ourselves stand out in a market that is like this, where we do want to stand out and we do want to be first, because that's how you have to do it in a market that moves this quickly.
Right, because we are transitioning back to a pre-COVID market where things move very quickly, and the candidate who is the fastest and most prepared is the one who's going to get the assignment and going to continue to get assignments, right? So I think it's important to note, and you all just moved around my screen, so welcome back, Victorya. Patrick, I was going to come to you because you were kind of giggling as Victorya was talking about just the differences in personalities a little bit when it comes to your recruiter and your credentialing analyst. I am definitely a list person, but I just would love to see what your thoughts are, just as far as preparing for what that next contact point is going to feel like.
Yeah, to the list point, we are very list oriented in credentialing, so it's going to feel very cut and dry and to the point. We have a specific goal, and that is to get you on the floor. To Victoria's point, your recruiters are always going to be your best friend in trying to best prepare you, answer as many questions, and really just get that ball rolling as successfully as possible. I did want to retouch on the communication piece. We are a very resourceful bunch. So when you're hitting a roadblock, you may not think we can help. Reach out. It may not be the answer you're looking for, but I can almost guarantee half the time there's a solution we'll probably have for you.
Right. And I think what's important, Patrick, to your point, you can maybe speak a little bit about this, is this isn't the first time we've credentialed candidates for an assignment. Most likely, it's not the first time we've credentialed candidates for a particular facility. And we've probably seen the problem at some point. That is the benefit of working with a company that has been around for 35 plus years. But Patrick, would you agree? Thoughts on that?
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot of nuances that you only see once or twice, but there's a lot of commonalities, especially because these requirements stay pretty similar across the board. There's a lot of things we see that over time we can either re-navigate or become more resourceful with, or we just naturally have the answers because we're trying to be the best expert we can for you. Yeah, just like I said, keep that communication line open.
Keep the communication open.
We on the credentialing team will jump through hoops of fire to get you on that floor. So never doubt that we can probably help you. And if not, we will direct you to the person that can.
Yeah, I love that, Patrick. And I think it speaks to so much what we do here as a company at AMN. We value all of you, and we all feel like we impact patient care through you. So the credentialing team, for example, and Patrick can jump in if he wants to here, but really takes pride in being able to ensure that a clinician is who they say they are, and they have the skills that they need in order to be successful on assignment and can take care of the patients that they're responsible for. Patrick, would you add anything to that as far as just really the driving principle of credentialing?
I really wouldn't add much more to that. That was perfectly said.
Oh, thanks, Patrick. And then for your recruiter, right, we want to make sure that you're matched to the right position as well. But that's really where credentialing comes in to help you, to help us, to help everyone really make sure they're getting the care that they need. We're almost at our time, but before we get there, I would love to just go around, Dan, Victoria, Pat, maybe one thing that you would give to our listeners to help them prepare either for their travel assignment in general or for that credentialing piece. We've heard communication, but what else is important? Dan, I'll start with you. Oh, and Dan, I don't know if you're
All
there.
right. Yeah, I think the biggest part is for nurses, there's so many options out there for you. It can be overwhelming. And just really understanding, what is driving you to travel. Are you looking to get on a beach? Are you looking to meet financial goals? Are you trying to enhance some clinical skills? We're partnering with a company like AMN. Whatever your career goals are, we have options and we have the network and the infrastructure to help you with that. A big turn that we're seeing right now are nurses investing in themselves to get advanced education and to advance their careers. And partnering with a company like AMN, where we have so many hospitals that partner with us exclusively, they prefer the AMN traveler. So really think about what your goals are, what you want from a contract, and partner with a recruiter that has that same vision that you have to help you achieve those career goals.
Yes, I love that, Dan, and you're absolutely right. Victoria, what would you add to that?
Yeah, well, that was great. And I think it kind of touches on the one word that comes to my mind and what I would want every traveler to feel like is supported. Like if you are not feeling supported, like just know that it shouldn't be that way. That's the wrong way. Like if you're not feeling like you can talk to your recruiter about anything that might come up and ask questions, even if you feel like you already heard the answer before, like then it's not right. And there's always someone who you can talk to about that. Because, and to Dan's point, when these hospitals see AMN's name on the profile, they know that they're getting like the satin bow on the Tiffany's box. Like we are the first company to hold that JCO certification that was a non-hospital, and it hasn't stopped. We haven't stopped innovating. And so my hope for all my little travelers would be that you are feeling supported and you feel like there's always an open door, whether it's to the recruiter or to the customer service or to uploading or to tech issues as we are innovating and getting things going. So just make sure to speak up and be the squeaky wheel that gets the grease, so that you can have the best and
Feel
greatest
supported.
experience.
Yeah, definitely. I love that, Victoria. Patrick, anything to add to just wrap us up?
Yeah, we are going to be as supportive as possible. When you enter the door, expect as much partnership as possible on our end. We are going to always be here to help. And I just can't put enough emphasis on that AMN passport. If you're used to it, continue to keep using it. If you're not, definitely jump in there and just look around. It is going to be a huge resource and a huge help throughout not just your credentialing process, but being within the AMN family.
I love it. Well said, everyone. I'm so thankful for this panel. Hopefully all of you learned something new. I think you heard the words communicate with us. Make sure that you're feeling supported. That really is one of our driving principles. And if you haven't already, download the AMN Passport app. You can also follow us on our social and see what all of our lovely clinicians are out there doing at AMN Nurse. And be sure to join us for our next live in April. Thanks so much, everyone. We appreciate you.